Welcome back, everyone. Jared the geologist here with today's geology lesson. Today we're going to learn about the Earth Inside Out, Part 2. Let's dive deeper into the inside of the Earth. Before we learn some new things about the inside of the Earth, let's review what we already know about the Earth's surface. The Earth's surface, or the crust, is covered with oceans and 7 continents. In the middle of the Earth, there's an imaginary line that we call the equator. The top of the Earth is the North Pole, and the bottom of the Earth is called the South Pole. Last time we were together, we talked about the outer layer of the Earth's surface. Can you remember what it's called? If you said the crust, you're correct. Good job, geologist. Today we're going to dive deeper into the Earth and talk about the 3 layers underneath the crust. The mantle, the outer core, and the inner core. In addition to talking about these 3 layers, we're also going to be thinking about those 3 key factors for understanding geology. Can you remember what they are? Heat, pressure, time. Okay, say them with me. Heat, pressure, time. Your turn. Heat, pressure, time. Good job. All right, let's get started with some new learning. Today we're going to pretend that we can journey deep, deep into the Earth, all the way to the very center, nearly 4,000 miles from where you are sitting right now. The first stop is the layer beneath the crust, which is called the mantle. The mantle is 1,800 miles thick, and it contains most of the Earth's rock. In fact, most of the Earth is contained within the mantle. The mantle is mostly made of solid rock. The closer to the crust, the cooler and harder the mantle tends to be. Close to the crust, the mantle is almost all solid rock. But as you go deeper, closer to the core, the mantle gets hotter and becomes soft and gooey. Heat closer to the core causes the rock inside the mantle to move around quite a bit. But in most places, it is still solid rather than liquid. The mantle surrounds the core, or center of the Earth. The core has 2 parts, the inner core and the outer core. The inner core is a solid metal ball. The outer core is also made of metal, but it is not solid. It is made of melted or molten metal. It is a liquid. This means that deep down inside the Earth, thousands of miles beneath your feet, there's a giant sea of red, hot, molten metal surrounding a solid metal ball. Scientists believe that the very center of the Earth, the inner core, is actually hotter than the surface of the sun, which is a blazing 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Whew. The inner core is much hotter than the outer core. It may seem strange that the outer core of the Earth is molten metal, while the inner core is a solid metal ball that is just a bit smaller than the moon. The reason the inner core is solid has to do with the incredible pressure of the Earth's weight pressing inward. The more pressure you put on something, the more heat you need to cause that thing to boil or melt. That is why the metal at the center of the Earth, the inner core, is solid instead of liquid. Despite the intense heat, there is simply too much pressure caused by the weight of the Earth. So the center of the Earth cannot melt. It remains solid. The crust upon which we live is constantly being changed by heat and pressure caused by activity in the Earth's mantle and core. The San Bernardino Mountains that you see in this picture, along with many other mountains along the west coast of the United States, were created by changes inside the Earth. Remember, the parts of the mantle that are closest to the core are soft and gooey. That hot, gooey material in the mantle does not always stay in the mantle. Sometimes it rises up to the surface. Every so often, some of that extremely hot molten rock or magma pushes up through the mantle and forces its way into cracks and crevices in the crust. Over time, the magma collects in a magma chamber, such as the one near the bottom of the picture. The heat in the magma chamber releases gas from the magma, which builds up and creates pressure. The pressure builds and builds until one day, boom! The magma erupts in a volcano of lava, ash, gas, and fire. Once it is released from the earth, the magma becomes lava, flowing liquid rock, which flows across the ground until it cools and hardens into rock once again. Now that I've told you about volcanoes, let me explain one more thing. Thanks to geologists, we have a pretty good idea when and where these geologic events are likely to occur. Geologists help predict where volcanoes are most likely to occur, and this helps keep people safe by discouraging them from building homes close to dangerous areas. It's not always possible to predict when and where geologic disasters will occur, but geologists work hard to give people as much warning as. That's the end of today's lesson, but I hope you'll join me next time when we'll talk more about volcanoes and another amazing feature formed by pressure and heat inside the earth called a geyser. Today you can show your teacher what you've learned about the earth by drawing and labeling a diagram of the earth's surface. Remember to label the crust, the mantle, the outer core, and the inner core in your drawing.